Guys, today I wanted us to just take a pause and actually kind of do a one-shot kind of seminar. And so, I realize we're in that time of the semester or quarter where pretty much everyone is exhausted and tired and wondering what life is. And so I just wanted us to pause, and we're going to talk a little bit about how do we figure out tiredness, exhaustion, and burnout. All right, and so we're going to have fun for about the next 40, 45, just kidding, I lied, 85 minutes, and then you're going to break off into cell group. So let's pray, because I've already ruined things, and we're going to get going. Let's pray. God, thank you so much for loving us and saving us. We're here because, Jesus, you came and you died for our sins, but then you rose again in victory. And there is a message to be preached. There are songs that must be sung, and there is a Jesus to love and follow, because you're alive. But God, often for us in our exhaustion and tiredness, it's hard to see that. And so God, I just ask that for the next couple minutes, you would uncover and excavate kind of maybe how we can understand tiredness in our lives, the role that it plays, but maybe also the role that we play ourselves and how we make ourselves more tired and exhausted than maybe we ought to. And so I pray for wisdom for all of us and guidance and direction, and I pray that we would leave sharper and more aware of you, but also ourselves, and how we can maybe walk in discipleship as well. So help us and strengthen us in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, here we go. So today, just to give you a roadmap of where we're going, I am going to admit today is a seminar. So, seminar is normally not my primary voice. I think I have a more preaching voice than a seminar voice. When I do seminars, which is more instructional, I start going off on weird tangents, where I start cracking jokes that like 3 people understand, but they're laughing their heads off. So just prepare yourself for a million tangents and me acting a fool. You're like, you act a fool when you preach too. Shut up. So here's the roadmap, and if you're offended by that, I apologize. First, we're going to talk about what is burnout. Then we're going to talk about why we burn out. And then thirdly, we're going to talk about how we can avoid burnout. Really simple. Okay? It's simple, but again, I'm going to go on a million tangents. See, I'm already doing it right now. And see, you notice how no one's laughing? Except 3 people. I literally called it. All right, here we go. So what is burnout? And in talking about burnout, I think we have to kind of do a couple of points of clarification. Okay? And there's 2 big clarifications. Here's the first big clarification. There's a difference. There are different forms of burnout. Okay, so people who are in this, who know psychology, people who do, HR and all that stuff, and they know all the science and details, they would say there are different forms of burnout. For example, some people burn out mentally. Some people burn out emotionally. There's something called emotional burnout. Other people, they just burn out physically. Like even athletes, right? They just burn out physically. And are they all tied together? They are. You cannot separate one from the other. The moment you drag emotions, physical, mental, they all kind of get dragged along as well. So they're all connected, but it's nuanced, okay? And so I just want to say that off the bat, because some of us were going, oh, he's going to give a comprehensive seminar on burnout, and what I'm saying is, no, I'm not. In fact, there's a lot of professionals, if they sat here, they'd be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and guess what? Maybe you're right, okay? So there's many forms. I feel like I just need to say that right off the bat, okay? But the second clarification I need to make is there's a difference between burnout and tiredness. Many people are just tired, but they keep using the vernacular, I'm burnt out. And that's inaccurate. Some people are actually truly burnt out, but they keep saying, oh, I'm just tired. I'm just tired. But there's a difference. And for our purposes, this is just my definition. So don't take this to the bank. But this is how I define tiredness. It's to operate at less energy than capable of. So someone has 100% energy that they can operate out of. But when they wake up, it's like, they're fully charged, they're battered. That's my sound effect. Okay, I worked on that all night, okay? So they're fully charged, but the moment that they step into the shower and brush their teeth, it's kind of like, okay, it's come down to 98 already, right? And you have that morning coffee, it's like, right? It goes back up to 115. They're bouncing off the walls, but let's be honest, after the first class or after the second class, it's noon. You have Panda Express, which was a mistake. right? And suddenly you're down to 65, and you're just like, oh my gosh, and you go into your afternoon class with the library, or AKA nap time, right? And you're just kind of trudging through the, right? You don't even know what's going on, you don't even know what you're learning, you're dozing off, some of you are doing that right now. And then by 6 p.m., it's like, you're kind of like, whoa, what do I do? What should we eat? And you eat something, and then suddenly by 9 p.m., your energy is bouncing off the walls, right? Because you're a college student, right? You go back up to 80, and then it's like 3 a.m., and you're like, you're the Walking Dead. You just officially turned into a zombie. And so by the end of the day, your energy goes down. So tiredness is something that we experience nearly every day. No, in fact, every day. Every single day. But now, here's how I'm going to define burnout. And notice, it is not a subtle difference. It is a massive difference. There it is. Burnout is the inability to operate. It means that you've gotten to a point where you can't even function well anymore. Your overall attitude of life, you're just cynical. There's a loss of appetite. There's a loss of motivation. There's a loss of feeling. So whereas tiredness, you're not operating at the level or the speed or the energy that you hope to, someone who's burnt out, they're just having a hard time operating, period. They're having a hard time getting out of bed. They're having a hard time doing anything, feeling anything, wanting to eat anything. Why? Because they've been so exhausted and depleted of the resources, they're pretty much done. So according to this definition, okay, some of us who have been saying, oh, I'm burnt out, I'm burnt out, I'm burnt out. You're really not burnt, you're just tired. Some of us, we've been saying like, oh, I'm tired. You're right, you actually may be really close to burnout, if not burnt out. In fact, here's kind of the scale that I created. I've been working on this all week, and this line itself, it took literally 48 hours. Okay? Thank you to the one person who laughed. Okay, I paid that person. All right, here's the scale of exhaustion, right? So some of us, we're here, like you're cool. Others of us, we're just like, you're pretty tired. Right now, you feel pretty tired. Others of us, we're like, man, I'm tired. You're not just, man. Okay? It's not even, okay. Next, right, I'm really tired. This is a little bit darker, right? So it's like, man, I'm tired is a little bit more energetic. I was like, man, I'm tired. But I'm really tired, just like, gosh, I'm really tired. And your lips quiver a little. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be okay, right? I have no idea where we are right now. I'm trying to make this work, you guys, help me. All right, next is, shut up, okay? You're just mad now. This is the irritation stage, right? Why is it that for some of us, like, it's Thanksgiving, your mom's like, you want some fruit? You're like, get out, right? Just get out of my room. And your sibling just like, hey, stop breathing, because everything's just annoying, okay? The next stage is, I'm just exhausted. And then, you're burnt out. So there is a massive difference between tiredness and fully burnt out. However, though there is a massive difference, it's a sliding scale. It's a sliding scale, meaning every single one of us, we have the potential of burning out. We may be on the road of burning out. Though all of us, we experience tiredness, and some of us exhaustion. Like some of us, we're tired right now. Some of us, we're in the shut up stage right now. I can tell because you haven't laughed at anything that I've said. But then again, you haven't laughed at anything I've ever said, right? So maybe you should shut up. Maybe, I don't know. We can duke it out, No, I'm kidding. I'm actually at the shut up stage as well. No, okay, so is this clear? Okay, it's clear. Let's move on. Okay, so this is burnout. It's the inability to operate, though many of us are not operating at the capacity that we ought to. So, why? Why does this happen? Why are we on this sliding scale where every day just seems like a fight to fight for energy and to do better and to pound more coffee, 5-hour energy, we don't even know what this stuff is, we just pound our face with it, right? And just energy drinks and monsters. Why? Why do we have to deal with this? Why can't we just operate at 100% capacity all the time, right? You know that game, what's your superpower? What superpower would you want, right? This is legitimately my answer. This is how bad it's gotten, right? By the way, just real quick, we used to have a college student here. You know what they said was their favorite useless superpower? That they only turn invisible when no one's around. which is genius, right? No one got that, so I'm just gonna move on. But my dream superpower would actually be that my energy level was always at 100%. I never need sleep. I never tire. I never yawn. If I want to sleep, I just lay down and close my eyes, but I can get up anytime. That's my dream. Which tells you that I have some deep issues going on in my life. But why? Okay, so I'm going to give you guys 14 reasons for why we burn out. No, 7 reasons. 7. See, now you feel better about the 7 reasons, right? So, guys, I came ready. I am prepared. I've girded my loins for action. All right, let's do this. So here. Is that inappropriate? Was that in the Bible? Okay, here's number 1. You're running. The number 1 reason for why we're tired is we're running. To put it another way, you have responsibilities. You have stuff that you need to do. And these responsibilities, it requires strain and energy, mentally, physically, emotionally. There's not a single person here who does not have some type of responsibility. If you're in school, you have responsibilities. If you have a job, that's a responsibility, and it's not easy. And by the way, this is not all bad. Having responsibility is God's original design. It just got screwed up. I'm going to show you something real quickly, okay? So in the beginning, we jumped ahead way too quickly. I ruined everything. So we're actually going to go all the way back to the beginning. Like, all the way back, okay? Alright, just kidding. These are the 2, some of you guys are like, you need to chill. Calm down. I knew I shouldn't have had that cup of coffee. Here are the 2 commandments, the first 2 commandments that we see, that God gives to humanity. The first one is Genesis 1:28, and God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and so forth. So God is saying, like, reproduce. That's the first commandment. Okay? The next commandment that we see is, in Genesis 2:15, God says the Lord, God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it. So, like, do some gardening work. Like, take care of the ground. So, this was before sin entered the world. God gave responsibility. Reproduce. Go for it. Have kids. Be fruitful. Multiply. But also work the garden. So God is not anti-work. He's not anti-responsibility. This was before sin entered the picture. But sin entered the picture. And notice what happens. We know this, right? You know, man and woman, they blame each other, and God shows up and he's like, hey, here's some consequences. And in the consequences that he gives, there's something really insightful that we see, which is that what's affected in the consequences are the very responsibilities, the contamination and ruin of the very responsibilities that God gave man in the first place. Here's what I mean. The first thing is in Genesis 3:16, here's what God says to the woman. He said, I will surely multiply your pain in childbearing. In pain you shall bring forth children. Here's what he says to the man. In Genesis 3:17, he says, and to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten from the tree of which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you. And you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread. So you notice what happened after the fall. It's not like work changed per se. Men was still commanded, right? They were still commanded, like, be fruitful and multiply. Adam was still commanded, hey, work the garden, like, work on the ground. But what sin did is, it caused frustration in the very responsibilities that God had given to them in the first place. So that childbearing is no longer, like, fun. And I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. It is not fun, right? Work is difficult. This is why when we go to work, work sucks. It sucks. Someone's like, yes, that's the truest thing I've heard all week. It does. Right? Like, think for a moment, right? Like, when you think about the average, like, older men and women, they can't wait for the weekend. They work for the weekend. And then when weekend is done, they go to work again so they can get to the weekend. Because work sucks. Like, you're a student. School sucks. The irony is, it's amazing. It's education. You're filling your brain with freaking knowledge. That's powerful. Those are tools, weapons that you should be released into the world. Change the world. And it sucks. There's strain. There's difficulty. So you have to run, whether you like it or not. And guess what? You'll be running for the rest of your life because you will always have responsibility. Your exams may come to an end, but when you start working the 9 to 5, you have responsibilities. And when that other person shows up, and if kids show up as well, if that potentially happens, there will be more responsibilities. Even if none of that stuff happens, there will always be responsibility with strength. You're running. But get this, here's the second issue, is not only are you running against the wind. To put it another way, your responsibilities are piling on. You know that phrase, like when it rains, it pours. I'm really thankful you guys got that, because I was getting nervous. Why is it that for some of us, like, you know what I've noticed the pattern? Because I've been doing college for a while, is everyone is loving the semester and quarter, and then suddenly everyone is dying. There's no in between, right? Like, it's like, how's it going? Good. How's it going? Good. How's it going? Sucks. If you guys know why, it's because all the professors get together and they agree that they're going to kill you in 1 week. It's true. No, it's not. But it feels like it, right? Like some of us, you have an exam and a paper and you have to take another shift at work all at the same time while your campus ministry responsibilities are going up and someone's asking you to sub in for this and that, and it's crazy. And why is it sometimes like the gas is always empty when you're busiest, right? It's like when you're free, the gas is always full, right? And the moment like there's anything, it's like, okay, all the gas is gone all of a sudden, right? Some of you are like, I drive an electric car. Jerk. So you're running against the wind. And can I just say this? Like, if you think it piles on now, can I just go into dad mode, old man mode for a moment? If you think it piles on now, just wait. You notice how the older people in the back just giggle? The piling on in the future, glorious. And I say that sarcastically. All right, but not only are we running against the wind, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting now. You're running against your wiring. To put it another way, you're not functioning at your highest capacity. I need to break this down a little bit. In Genesis 1, it says that we were made in the image of God. He has fashioned us by stamping us with His image. Now that's powerful. So in every single human being, there is this divineness in terms of their DNA stamping. There is a God imageness that has been fashioned into every single person. That's amazing. Psalm 139, right? You're fearfully and wonderfully made. That's every single human being. But now, at the same time, everyone is made in the image of God. Everyone is wonderfully and fearfully made, knit together in the womb by God. However, there's great variance from person to person. Like some of us, your brain does its best work in the morning. Like 8 a.m., you can study anything. Others of us, the afternoon. It's 2 p.m., everyone is yawning, and you are happy. You are celebrating the Lord. Some of us, 2 a.m. At 2 a.m., you turn into a genius. But it only lasts for like 15 minutes, right? It's like, everything makes sense, and it's like, nothing makes sense, right? Okay, so many of us we're 2 a.m. folks, right? But here's the problem. We run in the opposite direction of our wiring. So some of us, your brain works best in the morning. But what you've done is, you've inverted that. You wake up at 11 a.m. So you wake up and your brain's like, it's over. Good job. It's over. Like, good luck trying to squeeze anything into your brain for the rest of the day. Right? Others of us, we're really night folk. But for some reason, we just hate staying up past midnight. Right? We're like, it's 11:30 and we're starting to freak out. We're like, I can't be here right now, and like my mom's calling me home and I gotta go, and you just start making up all these excuses. You're running against your wiring. Let me put it another way. Like some of us, you are super duper relational. Others of us, you need a collective community. But you love that too much. But you're also wired for solitude and alone time. But some of us, we never honor our solitude. We're always around people, and it's doing something to our soul. There's a drainage. Others of us, you are a big solitude person. You love being alone. Your dorm room is the fortress of solitude, right? But you're also wired for relationships. But the problem is, you never hang out with anyone else. You're always by yourself. Actually, you do hang out with someone else. It's when you say hi and bye, right? And so we're not honoring our wiring. We're running against it. I can go on and on about this. You guys get the point. So some of us, not only are we running against the wind, we're also running against the way that He's fashioned us specifically. Okay. I'm going to get into that a little bit more towards the end. Fourthly, you're running with bad form. You're running with bad form. So, like, this is wrong. This is just, I'm not trying to be Captain Obvious here. That's not how you run. That's the wrong way of running, right? But some of us, you're actually choosing to operate in lower forms of ability. So here's what I mean by that, right? So some of us, you are the master. You put the pro in procrastination. Like, some of us, we don't do well. I love this. Like, I do well under pressure. No, you don't. No, you don't. That paper was not good under pressure. You know why? It doesn't make you fat. You just did it. Because the pressure made you let go of your perfectionistic tendencies, but it still sucked. Right? But what happens is we procrastinate. That's not how we should be studying. That's not how we should be putting in information. But that's what we'll do. Others of us, your phone. Your phone is buzzing all day. You cannot sit still and focus on one thing for more than 12 seconds. In fact, you ever do that thing, and I'm guilty of this, like where you get off Facebook app, and you put your phone down, and then you just pick it back up and you click the Facebook app. Have you ever done that before? And you're like, I'm possessed. I'm possessed by the spirit of Facebook. Right? Create another memory. Right? It's crazy. And so, though we should be operating in different ways, we actually limit our own effectiveness by things like procrastination. Or how about this one, like some of us? You say stuff like, I can't study by myself. Yeah, but when you study with people, you're not getting anything done either, right? Do you ever do that thing where you sit and you're like, guys, we really need to study? 4 hours later, right, everyone's like, oh, look at the Snapchat meme, right? Just like, really? And so, you're running with bad form. You're living with bad form. Lack of discipline. No self-control. A little YOLO is okay sometimes. But YOLO shouldn't be every day 24/7. All right. Number 5, what contributes to burnout is, okay, now let's get a little bit more serious. You're running the wrong races. What I mean is you're divided in attention. You know why? You have too much on your plate. You have way too much on your plate. You have stuff on your plate that should not be on your plate. And honestly, you're not entirely sure why you said yes to that thing in the first place. Deep down inside, is there there's a propensity, you're afraid to say no because you don't want to disappoint someone, but you're like, yes, and now you're just like, you just hate everything. Now the very thing that you agreed to do, you no longer want to do. But you have too much. Others of us, not only are we running the wrong races, we're actually, we're chasing the wind. What I mean is you're after something that's elusive, like approval. You're seeking that's really all you want. So you will say yes to whatever you need to say yes to gain approval. Some of us, we just want popularity, just acceptance. And so we will chase things, we will sign up for things, we will get ourselves into situations where we would never ever otherwise, But because we thought we could gain acceptance, we saw that. Some of us, we love glory. You're a glory seeker. And so you will do things that will hurt you later, but if you can get glory now, you're going to do it. To put it another way, you're divided not just in attention, but in affection. Your heart, what's ruling your heart, what you're worshiping, what you're seeking, and chasing the wind. You can never, ever get it. Even if you get a little bit of acceptance and glory, it just makes you thirsty for more. You can never satisfy. Lastly, you're running away. You're not dealing with what or who you need to. Meaning, there's this thing in your heart, there's this pain, this unresolved issue, and it's been gnawing at you for a while. But you're compartmentalizing, you're boxing it away, and you're saying, I just have too much to do right now. And so I'm just going to kind of put that bitterness or that insecurity aside and just power through and do what I need to do. And the problem is it just keeps creeping back up. It just keeps creeping back up. And in fact, it starts infiltrating all the other little things that you do. Or how about this one? Some of us, God is asking for surrender. There's this corner of your life where he's like, your life would be better if you just give that. If you just hand it over. If you trust me, I'll take care of you. And we're like, nope, I don't see you. Oh, I don't hear you. Oh, that message was exactly about me, but no, it was for my friend. No, oh my gosh, the Desiring God article literally talked about what I needed, but no, whoops, I signed off Facebook for the first time in 3 days. Right? We're just running away as far as possible. How about this one? There's someone that God is saying, like, you need to talk to this person. You need to tell them something like, hey, I just feel like I need to tell you I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're like, nope, won't do it. But it's there. And so we combine these 7 factors, and it just starts gnawing away at your soul and humanity. See, when I put all this together, I defined burnout in this way, and run-on sentences for the win. Here we go. We burn out because we have straining and growing responsibilities while choosing to respond through lower forms of ability rather than our highest capacities, as our attentions and affections continually divide in the midst of an avoidance of deeper things that need settling. That's why some of us, we are slowly but surely fizzling out and burning out. And some of us, we're like right there. You are a few steps away from being burned out. So here's some implications right off the bat. One, everyone has the potential of burning out. Righteous appearing people who sometimes, to be honest, have the greatest threat of burning out. But we all have the potential. But secondly, everyone who burns out is largely responsible for his or her own burnout. I have heard too many Christians say things like, I'm burning out, in a way almost to like passive-aggressively place blame on others, right? Oh, I burnt out because of that organization. I burnt out because of that leader. I burnt out because of this person. There may be contributing factors for sure, but at the end of the day, we choose to walk in unwise decisions. We make decisions to go up against our wiring and so forth. Okay, and so I'm not saying there aren't contributing factors, there are, but I'm saying at the end of the day, when someone burns out, it's a decision, it's a result of many, many little decisions that we've made over time. Okay, here we are. Final stops. We're making great time. I only have 45 more minutes left. Okay, no, I'm kidding. 55. I see that stupid joke every single Friday. I apologize. I need to go back to the drawing board. So how do we avoid burnout? I'm going to give you 10 quick steps. Okay? Just kidding, 5. It sounds a lot better, right? Here's one. Sleep well. Take care of your body. Now, before, you need to be careful here because this is starting to sound a little bit like self-helpy, right? Okay, so let's go to some Bible. Here we go. I don't know why we're so excited. Or afraid. 1 Kings 19. So in context, and I realize this story is not about sleeping, but there's an insight, okay? So in context, Elijah the prophet is calling back the people of God from idolatry. He has dueled false prophets at Mount Carmel. Huge victory where he displayed the reality of Yahweh God. Then afterwards, this queen shows up and she's like, I'm going to kill Elijah. Notice what happens. Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he had killed the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a message to Elijah. By the way, don't ever name someone Jezebel. And if your name's Jezebel, I apologize. You're still invited. Welcome to Route 28. Apologies for that living out. Then Jezebel sent a message to Elijah. Great name for a future son or even dog. Okay. Stop. Saying, so may the gods do to me and more also if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by this time tomorrow. Then Elijah was afraid and he arose and ran for his life. And he came to Beersheba, I have to be careful when I say that, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. But he went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a broom tree, and he asked that he might die, saying, It is enough now, O Lord. Take away my life, for I am no better than my father. So, huge spiritual victory. Queen's like, I'm going to kill you. And he's like, oh my gosh, I want to die. So, after this massive spiritual victory, because of this threat, which God could clearly handle, he is spiraling down in sadness. He wants to die. Okay, let's be honest now. If church of today, what would we say? What would we do? Like, have you been reading your Bible? That's legitimate. Have you been praying? We recommend you come out to prayer chapel. We have Saturday morning prayer at 6:30 a.m. There's a seminar on burnout. That's what here's a book. Notice what happens. Verse 6. And verse 5. And Elisha lay down and he slept under a broom tree. And behold, an angel touched him and said to him, Arise, eat. And he looked, and behold, there was at his head a cake baked on hot stones in a jar of water, and he ate and drank, and he slept again. And the angel of the Lord came again a second time and touched him and said, Arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you. And he arose and ate and drank. And he went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to the horror of the mountain. What? They're sandwiched all this miraculous, astounding power, and in the middle is this very unimpressive, just let me get this straight. He slept, he ate, he drank, he slept, he ate, he drank. Now, here's why I love this story. Because what it shows is that God is supernatural, but supernatural is also tied to natural and human. Sometimes the most spiritual thing that you can do is actually take a nap. Some of us were like, I've been waiting for years for someone to tell me. Now, when I say that, there's a difference between a 1 hour nap and a 7 hour nap. Some of us, we take too many naps, right? We're like, it's only my third cat nap of the day. Can you chill out, please? Okay? But what I'm saying is, some of us, we just need to sleep and eat and get some fluid in our body. I was talking to someone earlier, and this person said something really interesting, and I didn't get their permission, so I'm sorry. But they said, last week was crazy, but this week I've been able to sleep more, and I feel way better. And this person said it almost in passing, as if it was it's just sleep. But in my mind, I was like, thank you for that. I'll be using that in my seminar without your permission. No, seriously, if I don't get a certain amount of sleep, it's not like I'm sinful and I'm trying to hurt my children. I want to yell at Isaiah. I never wake up feeling that way. But I'm just saying, if I don't get certain like amounts of sleep, I'm not going to be the same dad. Now, should I lean in the Lord? 100%. Should I, pray and ask God for strength? Absolutely. But we should be doing that regardless. But the point is, we need to also refuel ourselves physically, because whatever we do, whether it's spiritual or whatever we think it is not disconnected from our physical bodies. So some of y'all, tomorrow, y'all going to be sleeping. To the glory of God. Amen. Standing ovation for sleep. Yeah, furious grace. No one ever clapped for grace. But sleep, okay. Number 2. Strategize your life. Strategize your life. Or to put it another way, discover and honor your wiring. Now, again, before we go into, again, this sounds a little too self-helpy, so let's use a different word. Another way to put it is, you need to steward your life. Oh, suddenly we're like, oh yes, steward. Steward everything to the glory of God. Hypocrites. No. Okay, so you know what we must steward? Our gifts, yeah. But you know what else? Yourself. All of you. For all of your wiring, for all that you are and all that you're not. Some of us, we actually need to start going on a little journey to discover how God has wired you. For example, like your brain. It's your greatest resource. You need to know when your brain is at its best, which means you're going to have to do a little bit of experimentation. Can I just be honest? I always thought, oh my gosh, I can bust at night. 10 p.m., I was fooling myself. At 10 p.m., when I'm on my computer, the cursor is just blinking. When I try to sermon prep at 10 p.m., the cursor is blinking for 30 minutes. Yeah, I can't think. But now get this. If I wake up at 4:30 a.m., I can get more done in 30 minutes than 3 hours. My brain is racing so fast. But now, at nighttime, I'm useless. That's why, I've noticed, I don't know. All right, let's just say it. Who cares? You have time. The way that I preach at night versus the morning, it's different. I can feel it. At night, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I hope this makes sense. In the morning, I'm like, I know exactly what I'm doing. No one should preach that way. All right. So you need to know. You need to know. Okay. Even like your solitude leaning versus community hanging out leaning. You gotta discover who you are. Like some of us, we keep saying like, oh, I'm just introverted and I don't like hanging out with people and I like being by myself and I don't like doing the whole social thing. But the other end is, whenever you're with people, you're emotionally healthier. And so you need to kick yourself out of that little, oh, that's not who I am. No, you need to know yourself and then honor who you really are. Others of us are like, I'm an extrovert, I love meeting people. Okay, just be alone for 30 minutes. Because God might be trying to tell you something. And you're just, all the noise is just drowning out everything. Just be alone. Take a morning to yourself and seek you. Can I go a little bit more? Is that okay? Food. You guys are still young, so y'all are good. Me on the other hand, food really affects me. I sound like a pregnant one. Don't laugh, you guys are making me emotional. No. Like today I had Jack in the Box for lunch. That's about the response you should give when someone says that. When I eat junk food for lunch, my afternoon, my mind is slower, and I actually feel empty. Like emotionally, I feel empty. I'm still really stuff. But if I get a little bit healthier, emotionally even, I feel better. Now, I'm a little bit older. Some of y'all, you can pound a burrito tonight and you're happy as a lion. I'm just saying, some of us, we might be different. You gotta discover one little journey. All right, strategize, steward your life. 3, schedule your responsibilities. Okay, you have a gift that previous generations did not have, the smartphone. You have something called Google Count or iCount. Some of us, we never use our count. You need to start. Here's why. when you put stuff into the calendar, you get to feel the future. You get to feel the future. Now, here's why that matters. You ever do this thing where you're like, yeah, I don't have anything next week. And so like, let's do it. Let's go out on Tuesday night. You ever do that? And then the week rolls around, you're like, oh, I have this paper. Whoa, I got that. I gotta do that reading. Oh, I didn't know that. And so suddenly you're like, you start feeling that panicky feeling, and you start feeling bitter towards your friends where you're like, why did they invite me? Why do they care about me? And then why do I care about hanging out with them? And you start doing this, you start deconstructing your life, and you're like, why do I even need this? And who are they? Who are my true friends? Okay, just schedule your responsibilities into the calendar, and then next time when you look ahead, you'll be like, oh, not next week. I can't do that. So just real quickly, and I gotta do it, I don't want to reveal too much of my calendar. This is a snapshot of my calendar just for this week. Just this week, okay? So this is my week. Now, there's a lot of details that I leave out because otherwise I'm gonna go crazy with stress. But you know why I do this to myself? Because every week I get pings like this. Ding! Hey, I was just wondering, like, do you have some time this week? Ding! Hey, do you want to go out to do this? Ding! Hey, do you want to meet up and have a meeting? I get, right? It's continuous. Now, in order for me to honor that person and give them my best, but also in order for me to walk well and healthily into my responsibilities, I need to know, like, am I going to really give them what I really need, what they need? So a part of that is when I schedule the calendar, I can feel what's coming down the pipeline and therefore make an informed decision. Right? So for example, like right before tonight, I met with a Route 28 student. If you actually look on Friday, right there, okay. I can't see anything right now. It actually says student meeting. I put it in the calendar. I don't know if Friday, okay, but it actually says post-friendship chapter 3 blog at 9 a.m. And so that's what I did. I just need to feel. Let's do. Common Ground is always on Friday. It's on repeat on my account. So I can feel. Now, here's a month. That's my month. Once a week, I sit in front of this beautiful laptop from Jesus himself. That was given to me by the hands and feet of Jesus. Some of you are more feet than hands. Just kidding. No one got that joke, so moving on. Once a week, I open my app and I go, I need to see what's coming down in the next 4 weeks. Just so that I know. Today, in the morning, my morning was shot. Because I had to go to my son's school thing, watch him run, and ridiculous waste of time. No, but I need to know my Friday morning. I'm not going to be able to get anything done, so I need to feel it. Okay, so schedule your calendar. 4, savor and worship. To put it another way, you need to balance out delight and duty. Some of our lives, it's mostly filled with duty. Like there are things you have to do. Now, everything that we have to do should be done with joy and gratitude, but at the same time, it's okay to treat yourself. Wait, let me back that up. Delete that. Don't treat yourself. Okay. Sometimes, it's okay to enjoy something. Like, some of us, you know what you really enjoy? You love going to a cafe. Some of you are smiling. Wow, it's the first time you're smiling tonight. The moment I say cafe, you're like, ding, right? Some of us, we need to go to a cafe and just read for about 45 minutes and drink a cup of coffee, journal, and walk out. And that's what refreshes your feet. Others of us, you know what you love? You love a nice run in the morning. That's like one person here. Everyone's like, what? Run? We did all that running during the burnout, right? So, duty is good. We have to fight to convert duty into worship. Duty can be very worshipful. but so can God. For me, Mondays. I let my family knows this, I let my friends know this. Monday mornings, I let a little sliver of time, I allow myself to be selfish. You know what I do? I go to a coffee shop and I write. And for some reason, when I write, I feel like this cup is being filled up. And then I see my kids and everything's gone. Okay. Lastly, finally, we're almost done. Sabbath for God. Or to put it another way, find refuge and rest in Jesus. You know why? You know what Sabbath is? There's many, many ways to categorize, but here's one simple way. Sabbath is our way of saying, even if I don't have everything that I need to have control over in control, God is in control. Like, there are many things I don't have control over, and that causes stress and an identity crisis. And then there are things that I'm supposed to have under control, and even that's not under control. But Sabbath is going to say, for God, I believe that you have it. That does something to our hearts, to our minds. Because you know why? If you always fight for control, you know, in the end, you know who you start believing rules the world? Yourself. That is an unbelievable burden you cannot bear. Because you know why? You'll fail. You'll fail. And then when you fail, you will know that you yourself failed yourself and others around you. And so your whole identity, your security, your personal salvation, everything is still haywire. But now, when you can stop and say, God, man, I didn't take care of this yet. That needs to get done. I don't know what's going to happen with this a year from now. But God, today, I believe that you're under control. You got everything covered. In fact, you can do more in a split second than I can in a lifetime. And so, God, today, I'm going to call some friends. I'm going to go to the beach. God, today, I'm going to go to a cafe. And just spend a couple hours. I'm going to go to the gym. And just enjoy what you've given me today. And what that does to your mind is that you believe that your God is in full control. That you don't have to be God, but that God will always be God in your life. And you can be child of God. You can be saved one, loved one, cherished one, delighted one. One that he's going to carry every day, whether you have things under control or not. And here's the beautiful irony, is that will strengthen you in a way. When you go back to your responsibilities, you'll become more focused, more energized. You'll actually perform better. The Sabbath is a gift to save us, from ourselves. You know what the hardest day of the week is? It's actually Monday, because that's supposed to be a pastor's day off. I have a really hard time saying, do not freaking work. But we must. I'm going to close with this. It's a psalm from David. David was a weird dude. And he's written many songs of this flavor and nature. But what I wanted us to end with was not action items or do this and do that, but I just wanted us to see the life of someone whose circumstances clearly were not changing. But notice what he says. Psalm 62, he writes, "For God alone my soul waits in silence." Or other translation says, "For God alone my soul rests, leans on. From him comes my salvation. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be greatly shaken." Now listen to this. How long will all of you attack a man to batter him? Like a leaning wall, a tottering fence, they only plan to thrust him down from his high position. They take pleasure in falsehood. They bless with their mouths, but inwardly they curse. God alone, my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from him. God alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be shaken.
On God rests my salvation and my glory. My mighty rock, my refuge is trust in him at all times. O people, pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for. So, his circumstances are not changing. People are after him. People are trying to hurt him. And so it's okay in the midst of life to be worried sometimes and to be afraid and tell God honestly. But you notice he doesn't just stay there. In fact, he's fighting to see God. And in fact, you know what happens when you fight to see God in the midst of difficulty? Is you get such perspective that you can start commanding other people to trust God. Look to him. Some of us, like, your circumstance is not going to change tomorrow. You're worried. There's not a single thing you can do right now. Some of us can change it. But what you can do is rest in God. What that means is you coming to God and saying, I don't have the answer. And I don't know if you're going to give me the answers. But maybe you're the answer. And maybe having you tonight is better and greater than what the answer could have been. And see. And maybe in doing so, you will not burn out, but maybe our hearts will start to burn over in a way that reflects God. In Jesus' name, that desperately. So, let's pray. The band's going to come on up, and I'm going to just lead us through a couple of prayer topics real quick. I feel like we need to respond. I'm going to list different topics, and so just hang tight if one prayer topic doesn't respond to you right away. Just hang on. Some of us, you're actually running away from God. And you can keep saying that you just need to binge on Netflix a little bit. You can keep saying that. Like, you can keep saying, I just need to relax a little bit. But some of us, those are forms of escape. We're just avoiding God. And in actuality tonight, the reason why we are not at rest is because we're not leaning into God. We haven't surrendered something that you sense that he's asking for. There's a worry that you haven't given up to him yet. And so tonight, maybe the most valuable thing you can do is not sing all the songs or share the most, compelling and insightful things during cell group or small groups. Maybe the most powerful thing that you can do is actually be honest for the first time in a while. Where we drop the spiritual veneer and we just honestly tell him, I'm afraid, I'm scared, curious. Others of us, you're in a place where you have responsibilities you cannot drop right now. Like, you have to keep running. And you're tired, but you have no choice. And maybe what you need to ask is, God, will you strengthen me? Because it's one thing to keep turning to caffeine. It's another thing to keep turning to, just a little bit of YouTube. But maybe it's something else to say, God, how do I make this as worshipful as possible right now? So we just really depend on him. And that's others of us. Lastly, some of us, your life is filled with constant unrest. And at the end of the day, the reason is because your heart has not experienced Jesus. You don't know who he is. You could even do the spiritual stuff. You can even give the right answers. You can even engage in really intellectual dialogue and so forth. But at the end of the day, your heart knows not him. And so there will always be this restlessness. And I'm not saying that tonight has to be where you just drop everything. I hope so. But maybe what you could pray is, God, if that's what you're inviting me to, you got to help me. I don't know. But if you're out there, show me more of yourself. If you're really there, show me. So, wherever you are, would you just start talking to him right now? You don't have to say I'm over. But you can be honest. All right? So let's do that. Let's pray. And afterwards, I'm going to launch us into one more topic for the band leads. Let's pray. The band's going to lead us, and after this first song, I'll kind of come back up and lead us into the second prayer topic, but you don't have to stand for this one, but if you want to keep praying, keep praying. Otherwise, if you ran out of prayer topics, let this song be your prayer, alright? Why don't we take a brief moment, and there's, everyone is tired in this room. I know it. And staffers here are tired after a long week. Some of you, serve in your respective campus ministries. You are wiped out. You're so tired, and you're discouraged. Others of us, because of school, you just feel so there's almost this guilt tonight, right? Like, oh my gosh, I haven't walked with Jesus in a while. And so I think one thing that we can do for one another tonight is to pray prayers for each other, that God's grace would be prevalent in our minds and in our hearts, but also that we be strengthened. And so I just want to invite you to pray either for the person next to you, or if you really feel kind of this leading, like, I want to pray for my soul leader, or there's this one person that I just feel led to pray for. I want to kind of invite you to do that. And then in a little bit, the band's going to lead us. And if you just want to sit there and just pray by yourself, you can do that as well. But just for the next few minutes, let's do that. All right, let's be a ministry that prays for one another. Amen? All right, let's do that. Go for it. So for the rest of us, I just want to just invite you to stand with me and let's sing the song. It's an appropriate anthem for all of us. So let's sing. Some of us, we're in a place where I think we've just decided that in the midst of our busyness and our even failures, it's almost better to just not deal with you until later. And that process has created this weird guilt and shame. And I wonder if you're calling us back because what you want for us is not this perfection that enables us to walk into your presence, but it's a walking in confidently because of your work on the cross. Lord, others of us, I just wonder if we're doing our best, but we're just so tired. We're exhausted. And maybe you're saying to us tonight that it's okay, but that you want us to rest ultimately in your arms and in your presence, to seek you, to find wisdom and strength in you. And God, all of us, we're grateful because your Son's work, it enables us to enter into true rest, a rest of the soul, in which we can walk in relationship with you, which is what we're created for. And so thank you for calling us back. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen. Hey, you guys can be seated.